It hits again. Kevy, he's done it one more time.
The Chaos Storm! Claire jumps in with the Grand Slam! But in a three-man Moonfall, and it's just lights out for Direwolves, just like that.
The showstopper. Look at the backline. It's getting melted.
Doing something right now. Sonic Wave is there. It's getting lower and lower. Oh! They've stolen it! Mammoth have got the Baron. He's going to fall on down. It's just too much damage. Rest in peace.
Hey guys, I was having a good chat with my friend Rusty before, and he told me just to be myself. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm just going to have a good time and do whatever the hell I want, because it's my show, right, at the end of the day. But look, of course, it's your show as well. You're here. You need to be entertained, and to entertain you, of course, we got to look back at what happened last week before we jump on into Week 8 action.
If it is, you might just turn around and kill the Ziggs. Not going to be enough. As Fido jumps in, finds retribution and punishment. He is the better AD carries, what he's saying in his head. Gets that kill confirmed. Still Gale force up and available, not to be used. Leaving is dead now. Fido, what can he do? He's going to get charmed. And now Scott against the world without an ult there for Kevy. A TP comes in, order on the defensive, looking to try and disengage away. As Lemus hits the rocket, Kobe.
I think I was completely blind.
Mayfun goes in, their tag team is a bit of a wrestling match right now. They haven't had the kill confirmed. Winter now says, my time to shine. He jumps in 1v5, and they are finding nothing, but this is dangerous. They're flirting with danger. Mammoth is certainly keen to try and take down as many kills as they can in this. They've found one so far, and they're still not at risk of dying. The Devour is there. There is Predator now, and that is surely it. But it's not to be, because Balkan, like he's done all split long, keeps stealing these Pentas.
I believe it was bounced and crashed by Gravitas, so they're trying to play...
Oh! He spread the needle. How's that landed? How has that landed?
Some absolutely cracked things went on last week, and of course we got Menulog Mealtime to kick off Week 8, and I've got two beautiful boys to bring you all the action as well. That's Skimmy, that's Rusty. We're all here and looking to have a good time. What's wrong, Skimmy?
Oh, you just said beautiful. I didn't realize just how handsome you were, Mac.
I was talking about you guys, not myself. But thanks for that anyway. Now look, before we jump on into all the fun here on Menulog Mealtime, make sure you get that menu pog in the chat, and you can go in the running for a $30 Menulog voucher. And look, you can have dinner for yourself, your friends, your family. I don't know how far $30 can be stretched, but look, if you win, let me know exactly what you got. You know, hashtag LCO on the Twitter sphere, and you can show us as well. I think Triana got it last week, right? I think that one came up at one point. Now, the question I have for you two today, of course, is if you could eat a champion, who would you eat?
Probably go for Alistair. You can't go wrong with a prime steak. Absolutely.
A lot of meat on him there.
Yeah, it has to be medium rare. Any other answers wrong. But a steak definitely does the job.
Yeah, medium rare. Go that. I'd go even like towards the rare side of thing. Rusty, you're pondering. How deep are we going with this question?
Yeah, listen, I thought about what champions do I dislike, Mac, and then I decided to veer away from that because I'm not a savage. And I can't name a champion that isn't... I'm going to say Cho'Gath because I want to try Void Meat. I think we know what Alistar would... Yeah, just a cow would taste like, right?
Void Meat?
Yeah, give it a crack.
Is that like calorie... crunching? What would I even do? It just disappears. You get the boost, but then it's gone.
I have no idea. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
it's Enter the Void.
Got me on that sort of bandwagon. I'm a big fan of seafood. Now I'm split between Tarm and Fizz. Now, which one would be more fishy? Because I know Tarm would be more like a frog's leg sort of thing.
He's
and
a
I've never
catfish,
had frog's leg.
I think.
Is he catfish?
I think he's a catfish.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, well it'll taste gritty, a little bit dirty, and there's a lot of meat on him.
Sharky.
So yeah. Is it sharky? Well, you know, I've had flake. I'll go for Fizz. Although it's a smaller meal, but look, I've got to watch what I'm eating anyway, right? We're cutting around these parts. We're cutting for the grand final, surely. Now, look, I think that's it for Menulog Mealtime. Let's have a look at the leaderboard and see where all the teams are going into Week 8. So we've got our top 5 locked in as the top 5. Of course, those positions can shift over the next 2 weeks. We'll see where everyone ends up, but for the moment, it is Chiefs, Peace, Pentanet Order, and Direwolves now who are all locked in for playoffs. So big congrats there. And look, we still got 4 games for all of these teams to play, so there can be some movement on these charts. But I'm looking at the likes of Kanga and Mammoth and Gravitas, and this is the point where they have nothing to lose, so they can really cause some upsets here, Rusty.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of blue shells, red shells, and bananas down the bottom of the leaderboard for the last 2 weeks of the LCO. So lots of potential for upsets for sure. I don't think you can take any game in too much of a cruisy manner, Mac. And I think that's the beauty of the last couple of weeks of the LCO, because no team in the bottom 3, I would assume, is going to stop and just have too much fun with it.
Yeah.
Because they're all still developing and they're all still trying to grow for Split 2, right? And there's no game like a stage game. So they should be taking everything pretty seriously.
Yeah, a lot of experience still on offer, but let's have a look at what games we're going to be seeing here on the LCO for this bright and beautiful Monday afternoon. Rain's actually stopped over the weekend, so let's talk about that quickly. Everyone's rejoiced as bloody people leaving their houses. It's crazy how things work. Now look, of course, back to the games. 6 p.m, Direwolves, Pentanet. That's going to be a banger to kick things off. Kanga and Chiefs at 7 p.m. 8 p.m, we got Order and Peace going toe-to-toe. That one's going to be interesting. And the entertaining one to finish off the night. We got Gravitas and Mammoth going toe-to-toe against Skimmy. Which one are you excited for?
I always love that last game because it just feels like a banger of a very different meaning, right? It's a case of both these teams fighting for the wooden spoon, showcasing what they've learned across all of the split, and ultimately seeing who developed more. I feel like we've always seen these teams come with new ideas in Split 1. It's going to fall a little bit short to start with, but come Split 2, as was proven last year, they sort of rise up a lot more. So I'm excited to sort of see if Gravitas can sneak themselves in with a win.
Yeah, I reckon there is a world where they can take that dub. They've been playing pretty good recently. Mammoth as well, they seem to have dropped off over the last couple of weeks. So it's definitely going to be one of those long, entertaining scorches that you kind of want to see. I'm expecting like at least 40 minutes, if not longer. I know, Rusty, you're very excited for that game.
I mean, yeah, look, was it on my face? Was the excitement on my face as you said that?
I was trying to say as much as I could to see exactly what your face did, but you held.
Oh,
so
we
Rusty's
stayed
translator.
strong the whole time. I was ready for that one.
Is a true professional. Now, look, let's talk about the bracket. So, playoffs bracket, it's there. We haven't locked in all of these positions just yet. But this is what the bracket's going to look like. Of course, the first day of games, you're going to see that Seed 2, Seed 3 game, and then the Seed 4, Seed 5 game. So this is what it's all going to look like. Winner, of course, whoever stays right at the top of the table, they're going to skip the first day and jump on into that next round. So I'm going to be so surprised if that isn't Chiefs, but for the moment, there is a chance for someone to catch up there, namely Peace. We know that they have been a capable team all damn split. Now, look, theoretically, what do you think we're going to see here, Skip?
It's a very good question. I feel like Chiefs will certainly be feeling comfortable, but not out of the woods just yet, right? Still a 1-to-1 with Peace. They're the only team that can chase them for that buy round and Seed 1, as you say.
Yeah.
I think what's most exciting for me is teams like Order, who have 1-to-1 head-to-heads with both Pentanet as well as Direwolves. They're going to try and showcase what they can do to try and get across the finishing line to see if they can bolster their position. Currently in 4th, can they eclipse it and get into 3rd? Because as you can see, just having the upper bracket advantage is so important for that second lifeline.
Yeah, exactly. You just get to watch exactly what everyone's bringing into these best of 5s as well, with a whole day off, which is also a nice little bonus. But Rusty, you were talking to me earlier and you had a couple of games to watch over the next few weeks. So talk to me.
Yeah, so I think these are the most important games to watch. You'll note that a lot of these are just going to be playoffs teams, right? Every single one of them is already locked into playoffs. But the reason these are important is because, like we've been saying already, the seeding isn't set. So day 1, game 1 today, PGG Direwolves is obviously important for the Direwolves, right? If they want any shot at making top 3, like you just saw, getting a buy round or getting a second chance, more importantly, is really what all these teams should be fighting for when it comes to seeding. And the same thing is for Order, right? So Peace trying to fight for the top spot, get that buy round. PGG trying to get as high as possible as well. And Order and Direwolves just trying to scrape their way up to 3rd place if possible. Means that every single game here is crucial. And beyond that, Mac, it's also just playoffs form checking, right? Every single team here could play against each other when it comes playoff time. So this is huge, especially week 9, day 1, Order versus Direwolves. If that's our likely 4th versus 5th, that's an elimination straight out of the gates. And that is a really good insight into what we could see.
And there's so many good games on offer over the next bloody 4 days of games. Oh, I can't wait to see exactly what unfolds. And look, we get 2 of these, 7 games? I can't count. I was looking at the teams initially, and numbers are hard, man. Don't do numbers live on stream. That's something
we
I've
learned that already,
before.
haven't we?
But look, I'm always happy to be a bit of an idiot. That's me. A big old idiot, Mac. Now, look, someone that's not an idiot is you two, and you guys have been up to date with everything going on. So let's have a look at the patch notes, because we're into a new patch this week, Rusty.
Yeah, we are, and I will say, patch 12.5, there hasn't been a crazy amount of changes. We're not going to sit here for 10 minutes like we do most weeks and talk about the new changes to the patch. So the TLDR of this is that Ahri, Gwen, and Xin Zhao got nerfed. Yi got nerfed, but for the average rank player, primarily with Duskblade changes. So apologies to all of you Duskblade abusers, it's gone. Or it's just nerfed a bit more. It's still actually decent until 12.5b. Ahri got a decent nerf for level 1 damage on the W, I believe it was, of about 30 off. So Ahri's biggest change was, the inclusion of extra damage into her kit and less reliance on the charm. So taking some of that away, I don't think there's many spells in League of Legends that do 180 damage at level 1 base. So that's a good nerf, but the mana change also realistically means nothing. Gwen, it's hard to say just how big these nerfs will be for her because it's only 50 bonus range off the E, which doesn't seem significant, but 50 range could be a big deal. It's just, again, it's a feel thing for me, and I don't play Gwen, so I don't really care to feel that one out. Xin Zhao got 1 second off his ultimate for the duration, which is an extra second where he is going to be vulnerable in fight. So that is valuable, right? And these are a lot of nerfs on champions that are just first and foremost in the meta right now, right? They are being picked and banned almost every single game. And so these are nice changes, but they're not changes that will remove the champions, if anyone was wondering that, right? They'll still exist, in my opinion. They'll still be decent, and it isn't the be-all, end-all type of nerfs.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I think the quality of life buff for Kennen is nice. I don't even know if he needed a buff to be seen in the meta. He's being picked elsewhere in the world. He's already being played pretty actively in regions like the LPL. So it is interesting that he did receive a buff, and it makes me think that perhaps we'll start to see even more of it. And there's not too much to say about the Samira beyond that one. Skimmy, the one thing that I'm looking at is actually Seraphine, because the W doesn't scale with levels anymore. Perhaps it's a meta support.
Certainly could be. Now, Skimmy, you've been harking on about this thing called a hull breaker for the last month or so, right? It's been broken, been way too good. So finally a change has come through here.
Yeah, it has, right? And I'm sure all AP top laners are now rejoicing, right? Your likes of Agragas, for instance, saying, okay, maybe now, I'm not going to get as punished as I did before, right? We saw it picked by, say, a Gnar. We saw it picked in by a Jace in some situations. Just made things a little bit stale in the top lane, right? Just two beefcakes left on an island told that, you're not relevant until 40 minutes. They found their own way to become relevant, right? We can just split push and we'll contribute in our own fashion. So it's good to see that sort of being shoehorned into a different direction and not as easily accessible, whereas it once was.
Now, after this, of course, we got a nice little game coming through. But Rusty,
hey,
did you want to add anything here in terms of the hull breaker changes?
I don't particularly think it's too big of a deal. For example, Gnar, one of the champions that is ranged most of the time, still gets so much use from Phage that he'll still probably want to build it. So I don't think it's the be-all end-all. It's just a nice little, again, another little nerf that I think is necessary, but it doesn't remove.
Yeah, just that small change, little adjustment that we've been wanting to see for a little while. So hopefully we get less hull breaker in our games and, something more sort of team fighty, less of this split push we've seen over the last couple of weeks. But look, you guys, I know you're done with all this numbers talk, numbers speak, patch note, idiot stuff. Of course, we want entertainment, and you guys aren't ready to be entertained. Well, look, get ready, because it's time, again, for the LCO Champion Conundrum.
Is today the day luck's with you? Is it now your life could read you? Then you must play the game, cause I have to proclaim life's a game of chance.
Oh, sorry, just getting ready for this one. Now, guys, all right, today we're going back to the splash art. So you got to pick these champions, and we're not bringing Kitty in because she was too good last time. We want these to last for at least 10 seconds, all right? So let's jump on in to the first one. Let's have a look at what it is. Tell me, you know who this is.
I want to say I do, but...
Nah, do it. Say it.
Have a guess.
Say it.
Do it.
You said you want to.
I want
Do
to
it,
say
Skim.
no. I was going to say Pantheon, just get something out there.
He's
Hecarim.
looking like a Cho'Gath. Big old toe.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was because he's screaming at stuff, and you can see, it has to be a big person because there's debris in it, and the people actually made the look small in the
Yeah,
art.
I thought it was a toe as well, but now looking, it was actually a hand of a little man getting destroyed by.
Oh, you mean the
Treadguard.
toe? Yeah,
You know what I
toe-looking
was
hand,
though?
yeah.
I'm like one of those guys, those like contestants on a TV show that like hits the buzzer and then just chokes and just buys time and goes like, I want to get myself in, but I don't know what to say. And then I checked out an answer and it was just wrong.
Got to be in it to win it. That's what they always say. Now we got a second one as well to have a look at. Let's see what it is. Ooh, what's that?
These are base skins as well, aren't they?
Is
These
this
are base.
Nautilus?
This one is a base skin.
Okay.
We do have a fancy skin coming through from the
Oh,
third.
okay.
It's not an anchor, not a dredge line.
But, well, I don't know. Is it?
Can't really tell what that is. Ah,
Chain Silas.
What's going on? That looks like a big sword or something in the
that
background.
does look like a big sword or something in the
Um,
background, doesn't it?
Is it misleading?
It's
That's
looking a
the
little
question.
bit Shurima-ish. with
Yasuo.
best-
Yone.
Ooh.
Alistair.
Oh, it is. He's on
Alistair.
money. 33 deep. What is that? I don't think that was a sword in the back. It was like something hanging from the
he's-
roof.
Unchained now, you know?
Of course.
Yeah,
Yep.
they were on his wrist. He snapped it.
Yeah, man was locked in, but he's unleashed, unchained, and ready to get on with his daily activities. You know, whatever Alistair's do, slam the ground
Headbutt
and knock things up, headbutt stuff, you know, all the good stuff.
As you
Now,
do.
look, let's jump into the hard one. We got a third and final one for you guys to have a look at.
That's doomed.
What is it?
Nothing. I can't tell. What even?
It's Diana.
Bro.
Hmm.
This is a skin as
It's
well,
a
to
skin.
be clear, right?
It's
So the colors are misleading because that's, I mean,
it's
that's
Silas. It's a Silas skin, isn't it? No, Talon skin. Silas
be.
skin.
Ari looking artwork on that thing.
Okay, I was going to play Silly Bug. You got Diana right, but you got to pick the skin.
Oh, I
A
was.
blood moon?
You're kidding! I got that in the first go.
Oh, yep, you did. You bloody new kitty, except you didn't pick the skin,
Hey.
and Rusty did. So half a point each.
Half.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
We take those.
We take those dubs.
Next
How
time,
you
next time I
got
see you,
Diana.
I'll
That's
give you one of
freak
these.
behavior.
Right, beautiful. That's your new surprise. Your
I have
little
no
prize.
idea.
Little cold brew from there.
Did you just
You
throw
guys
a
win one
champion
each.
out, or did you
I'm
have
just,
a feeling?
I'm just chucking out champion names. I see a little inkling, and it's like a puzzle. You're like, oh, yep.
He was just having a crack, you know. He was having
Absolutely.
a good.
Respect.
You got to be in it
Respect.
to win it. And Skimmy, he didn't even hit the buzzer. He just yelled it out and let anyone else guess it. So good job, Skimmy.
There's no hands up in this classroom. I'm just like that really annoying kid who's just shouting out, and the teacher's just like, shh, shh, shh.
That's it. But how about we actually use hands next time? And you got to tell me when your hands up. Otherwise, I'm not accepting your hands.
Oh,
up.
true.
So we have to
Alright.
say our names or something.
Yep. Mr. Mac.
Mr. Mac,
His
I have
class
an
is in
answer.
session. Anyway, look,
Mr. Mate.
we've got look. Fortunately, we're full of knowledge here. We know a lot of things about League of Legends, other games, and then some of us know things about real life. I don't know about Skimmy. He told me he never leaves the house. But fortunately, you guys in chat, you had questions about life, questions about anything you really wanted. So, from the fans today, we're going to be catching up with all the ones that we didn't get to last week, as well as any fresh ones that are pretty cool too. So, at LCO, jump on over there. You'll see the post. Ask your questions there, or ask it on the retweeted question from last week. You know, you'll find it. It's Twitter. It's everywhere. Now, hashtag LCO as well if you have another question, and for some reason you're bad at Twitter and you can't find the post, and you just go and tweet. You get all the clout for yourself. It's understandable. We've all been there. But look, we have a couple of questions ready, so let's see what you guys want to know. Who we got here? It is Spitter Laura. If you could have one champion ability IRL, what would it be? Skimmy, looking at you.
What do we got to some Kitty last time, right? Didn't Kitty say she wanted Zillion Chrono Shift, his ultimate?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. What would I want? Very good question. Probably a dash. Some form of mobility. I just feel like mobility's so OP. I'd probably just go like Rise Realm Walk.
Rise ult's a banger.
Yeah, Rise. Just you could always go on a holiday. It'd be insane.
Careful.
I'm straight on the Akshan bloody invisible near walls. That's me.
Oh, you want to be a creeper?
Why not just be Evelyn then?
I could be
invisible,
Evelyn.
not near
Yeah,
walls.
I'll be Evelyn. I'll scare the hell out of everyone. I'll be Kevlin. That's me.
Evelyn.
You just become a pocket.
Yeah,
Happy
but-
birthday, Laura, by the way.
Yeah, happy birthday, Laura. I saw that on
Yeah,
Twitter.
happy birthday.
Congrats, Laura. Look, this is your birthday present. You're on the LCO. Good job. Now, what else we got? We got another question coming through here. Let's see who it is. It's Cockery_Ose. What have we got? I heard if I reach Challenger, I get a boyfriend. True or not true? I don't think Kitty's here to ask that. I know she's Challenger. I don't know if she's got a boyfriend, but we're not going to pry into her personal life. Rusty, did you get a boyfriend when you got Challenger back in the day?
I don't believe getting Challenger gave me a boyfriend.
Okay.
Unless I missed out on having to like cash that in or something somewhere. Like maybe there's a website to like prove your Challenger and then you exchange it for a boyfriend.
Debunked.
No, it's not true. Get Challenger and a backpack, I think, for being Challenger.
Okay. You used to get a backpack, right? You used to get like actual
What are the
real
those cool
merch.
jackets and stuff, right? You got like the really cool
hearing
like,
about
achievement
that.
gear.
Yeah, it was like 2 years of merch. I don't know if it still exists. It's been a while since I've been Challenger.
Well, that's pretty damn sweet. Now, look, hopefully Riot will give us more merch one day, but someone that is giving us some merch or cool things at the moment, of course, is Circles.life. So, I don't know if you guys remember, but a few weeks ago we were talking about this Doctor Strange screening that is going to be out there for Circles.life, and if you guys drop the exclamation Strange in chat, you can be in the running to win some tickets to go to one of the 5 exclusive screenings around Australia, and you get to watch it. I think it's like on or very close to that release date as well, so you guys get to go to a very fancy screening. It's going to be sick, and hopefully I'll be there if you're in Sydney, unless, you know, if they want to, you know, fly me around the country and go to all the screenings on the same day. Oh, I love an adventure. That's all I'm saying.
There's more than one of us here, Mac. We could, you know, split it up if you want.
Yeah, Max,
Well, that's
I'll
the
take it
thing.
all.
You're
I'll
a
do the
thinker.
honors.
You're a thinker. I just
Only if you want.
thought, I've just seen so many people in Twitch chat say, hey, Mac, I'd love to shake your hand. And I was like, oh, all right. I don't think anyone has ever typed that in Twitch chat, in the history of Twitch chat. But look, if you want to enter exclamation Strange in the chat, follow the links. It'll take you to all the good stuff. And look, you can go and see the community that you've all been missing for the last damn year or so. So catch up with your friends. Catch up with, what's his name? What's his first name? Strange. Someone Strange.
Doctor.
No, his first name's not Doctor.
You know,
Steven.
all I can
Stephen
think
Strange.
of is
Steven.
Benedict Cumberbatch. That's all that comes to mind every single time.
I watched it recently.
Penguins.
and There you go. Penguins. That's it.
Penguins.
Now, that first movie was good, so I'm telling you, this second one's going to be a banger. So make sure you get in there. And if you win the tickets and you don't want to go, just DM me on Twitter. I'll go for you. Very happy to do that. Now, look, let's start talking about the game. We got Pensinet, we got Dial
He's pushing
first
it
up
high.
on the agenda. I want to see the movie, man. I'm so pumped for it. Oh, I just want to be there. Anyway, look,
Love your
we got
work.
Pensinet first. So, Rusty, talk to me. What are they going to do today to take the dub over DW?
Yeah, so far from PGG, we've seen a very consistent champion select. You know, a lot of the same champions time after time, and it seems like they've been pretty constantly now just improving and developing. Coach Chippy's backing them, of course, now as well. It does seem to have been a level up for the squad. And very high hopes for PGG based off what we've seen of the past week at the very least here in the LCO. So coming up today against the Direwolves, you would say that Direwolves are the challengers. With what we've seen from PGG so far, they should 100% be heavy favourites coming into today.
Well, we got Direwolves as well, and they've been starting to pick up the pace throughout the split, really finding that form skimmy. And tell me, who's going to be popping off for him today?
It's a very good question, because I feel like both teams have been playing a lot of the same champions week in, week out right now. And I feel like this is one of those games where they need to break the mold. So in terms of who's going to be trying to pop off, you'd probably look at Kyosei once again, especially if the team is locking in LeBlanc first pick, but in their bot lane as well. They've been playing a lot of Lucian, Nami, breaking the mold of get away from this Jinx and this Aphelios too. So I'm excited to see it on a brand new patch. If a champion like Samira, perhaps even Seraphine, can break into the mold of things, or if they will just keep those cards close to themselves and continue what the last few weeks have had to offer.
Yeah, look, in terms of both these teams, you know, recent performers, PGG, they've been looking much better. I feel like they started the split strong, had a bit of a shaky sort of mid-split where we felt like they were improving in bits and drabs, and then all of a sudden it went back to strong again. So, look, it's going to be rough for Direwolves, especially if you've got big man Volkan in the jungle just doing what he does best, and that's just being aggressive, being sneaky, and just, you know, killing everyone. That's essentially, you know, he's been, as far as I've seen, the biggest carry for the team. You know, Praedyth, he used to be sort of the big carry for PGG, but now he's got some more stars around, and, you know, he still does his job perfectly. Always just, you know, leaning on that Jinx as well, isn't he, Rust?
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's been looking really, really clean with the Jinx lately as well, for what it's worth. So it has kind of almost come back full circle, Mac, it feels like, right? Like, it's easy to say they've got so many more carries now in PGG, but the reality is Praedyth's hard carrying the past week, so perhaps it's his turn again.
It definitely could be. And look, Rogue, he's been popping off. He's been doing a lot of talking. He's been doing a lot of streaming as well. So I don't know. I think we're not talking with them today. We're going to be talking with Kyosei from Direwolves. So I'm hoping that he's going to be ready for an interview. Man's always got some banger content, banger bits and pieces. But before we get into the interview, we want to talk a few things. So, what's Chippy's been doing with Winter here, Skimmy?
I'm not sure, just leveling him up, clearly. Must be having some insane 1v1s with him, saying this is sort of the American tech I brought back from college. You know, I was studying the game, studying the life, and, you know, I'm going to showcase what you can do here to try and elevate that communication. I saw his interview, actually, when he was speaking with the likes of Shock and Amelg, and he's sort of talking about, like, his role in the team, and obviously puts a lot of emphasis on making sure that Winter is there at the forefront. But it feels like, to me, the major point that he brings to the table is really owning draft, saying this is what we're locking in, this is how we're playing, and it's looked pretty sharp.
Definitely has worked out a few of the kinks in the PGG roster. But look, let's talk Direwolves for a second. Actually, I'm not going to be talking Direwolves. It's going to be Kitty talking Direwolves. Talking to Direwolves, in fact. So, Kitty, how you doing today?
Hello, Mac. It's a brand new day, and I heard Rusty talking about the Challenger backpack, and
Are you going to flex?
guess what I have here?
Yeah, here it is.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay, well,
Shit.
this is from
Backpacks too.
2017, guys. If you were a Challenger, you got a physical reward, which was a blue backpack. I believe 2016 was a black backpack, but someone who also loves challenges is Kyosei, so let's bring him in for the interview. So, Kyosei, what do you think of the 2017 Challenger backpack reward?
Well, that was actually the first time I got the Challenger reward. It was my first Challenger, season. So yeah, pretty good, but I never use it.
I never use it too, it's just hidden in the basement of mine, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So, Kyosei, people have called you one of the best mid laners this split. Other than being a professional ankle cracker, what is going to be your advantage as a player going up against PGG tonight?
Well, probably just be, being consistent, playing with the team, and hopefully we just be the better players today, because I think it'll be a close match.
And talking about players, let's talk about Shinky. So you've actually had a couple of games with him already. How has the team adapted to this, and has the team identity changed at all due to the swap up?
Yeah, so getting Shinky in, it was a pretty huge change for our team. Although Dre was playing well, we needed someone with more experience. So yeah, he's definitely changed the dynamic of the team with his, competitive history.
I believe you guys did play on the same team during 2021, so it's always nice to have that team bonding. So, Kyos, I'm going to let you go, and best of luck in your game against PGG.
Alright, see ya. Thank you.
Good to get that insight, and good to get flexed on by, a couple of challengers up here. Rusty, he's jealous. I could see it on his face that whole
We need
time.
a new backpack, Mac. Bit of an issue.
Kitty, do you use that one?
I never used it. It's never seen the light of day.
But
Surely
do
that would be the most insane flex if you walk around school or uni and you just got that on. Instant conversation starter, right? Maybe I'm not going to be studying for my classes, but look, bro, we're hitting that IT lab, 5 p.m. We're gaming.
Yeah, because a lot of people would know exactly what it is just walking around uni.
Absolutely.
But you could be that person that wears it and
Rivals
goes,
the Yeezys
"Oh,
that you've got on
sorry,
your feet.
you bumped into my backpack. Oh, this is actually an heirloom. It's very important to me. I won it when I made Challenger this one season." And they're like, "What's Challenger?" "Oh, let me tell you about Challenger. So do you know the game League of Legends?" And then you just talk their bloody ears off.
Your best
and
friends.
Then you just lose all your friends at uni.
Oh,
Anyway,
you lose
look,
them all.
I'm going to make some friends with you guys in Twitch chat because you're doing my predictions again. So get your Dare fan votes in. You guys use those Twitch points and pick the right team because we've got that comeback mechanic to lean on. We've got to get back into this one. We've got to catch up to these three here before, of course, we can take the cake for predictions. And it's all up to you. It's not me anymore, look, because I'm lazy like that. I'm letting you guys do it. I mean, I'm not lazy. I believe in you guys. I'm a big fan of your Twitch chat. Now, let's talk predictions. Let's see what you guys have gone for in the matchup. Anyone spicy, or are we all going for PGG? Okay. No one is going to catch up to Kitty if this keeps happening. I need some spice, Rusty. I need some spice, Skimmy.
Look,
This game,
it's hard. It's really hard because I feel like PGG, in both teams, have really gotten better. And we've seen that definitely demonstrated from Direwolves when they've had a really close calling against Peace, just falling at the final hurdle. We saw it from the reflection of that PGG game as well. They were super close. They had Soul Point. PGG then just decided to go for a team fight, which Direwolves weren't expecting, and they lose the game as well. So they're this close. They're so close, but I feel like they just need a little bit more time, and they're going to have to rely on things not being a best of one to determine their fate.
Yeah, it seems the case. Now, Kitty, you haven't weighed in on the conversation for both these teams, so how do you think this one's going to go, and why have you picked PG?
I think PG is definitely a team that has been looking stronger as we progress into the split. And from what we've seen from the recent games of PGG, I believe that Balkan is just unstoppable. And if he gets his early game rolling, then the game just ends before 20 minutes.
Okay. Now, so he's been a little, I'd say soft inting every now and then. You know, a little bit of limit testing going on. Man's just real aggressive with it. But you know, last couple of weeks, it seems like he's sort of found that place, found that position, and it is really one of those keys for PGG to get those dubs. So, look, you know, there's been a couple of those changes in terms of the meta junglers. Do you think we're still going to see them, or do you think that jungle draft is going to be a bit different this game, Rusty?
I think the meta draft should probably still stay mostly the same. I was having a quick look at, you know, the LCS that was on today and yesterday. It didn't seem like too much changed overall for champions. A lot of the main picks now, though, are the Hecarim, where there's a little bit less, perhaps, of some of the other, you know, what was considered as Hecarim's now, like, just goated, apparently. Or horse.
I have heard that. I've seen a lot of streamers playing Hecarim, so I assumed it was just like, you know, a bit better than usual. Kitty, talk to me about supports. So are we going to see anything different? Are we just going to see what's been working, still sort of in that Enchanter meta? What's going on?
So we've seen a lot of Tahm Kench in the recent games in the LCO and just around the world in general, but Rusty actually mentioned this to me last night, that T1 picked Zac support, and after that game from T1, a lot of other people have been copying his Zac support, so I'm not going to be excited. I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if people do pick Zac support tonight. I will be excited because it'll be our first time seeing a Zac support in the LCO, but I'm just waiting for how they will pull it off.
Okay, we'll see if that one happens right now, because Champ Select is ready. Let's get on into the draft for the first game of the day.
Let's do it, Mac. Yes, let's figure out what things happen here as we kick off week number 8. A chance, really, of all games where Direwolves, if they win this, the run is on to potentially boost their playoff seeding, whereas for PGG, a win here and they're guaranteed to keep Direwolves in that lower bracket.
Yeah, must win for Direwolves if they want to contest the top 3 at all. For PGG, it is just about climbing as high as possible, as you state. So we'll get into this game and expect a very serious game of League of Legends. I'm super excited for this one. Just because, you know, the trajectory of the Direwolves the past week, Skimmy was looking fantastic. And that's not to say that PGG are by any means slouching. They've been improving very steadily towards the end of the split. And that's why, when you put these two against each other, it's a great first game to kick off the LCO for week 8.
Just look at Pratov's reaction. He's just been triple banned on the AD carries. This has literally been a seesaw between Aphelios and Jinx. There's Zeri as well. We know he plays it. And there's a Kaiser. Now, look, a little birdie has seen we've got some AP Kaiser, but there's a potential world where Frost could be playing at bot 2.
It could still be AP, that's the thing. So yes, it was a little birdie known as Faker that was playing it. And he had a very good game on it, right? AP Kaiser has been seeing a lot more play time in mid lane. But yes, like you say, can still be flexible. The Lucian was also banned away from Frost and Shinky for the Lucian Nami duo that they played for the entirety of last week. So PGG, I think this is honestly an exceptional pick for them, right? There is still Caitlyn Lux on the board. But this is almost like a last year throwback scheme, if that makes sense, right? Like when old Peace were playing, you had to actually look at the Xayah Rakan at all times because they were just so good at that duo. And it feels like the confident 2-3 straight into this means that they have a very easy second ban phase, given that Direwolves prioritized their jungler and mid.
Yeah, and I think I answered a lot of our questions going into this one, right? Given that both teams have not really been willing to reveal too much, stick to what was working for them week in, week out. They come into this one and say, that's too strong for you, right back at you, and you've got to now try and showcase something very, very different. That's exactly what we've got. We've got our second Cassiopeia game. The only one that we saw so far was from Fido in the mid lane. We're excited to see if it is to be Kiyose playing that in mid.
This Rel pick is a high risk, is probably the word that I would use to describe it. One of the big things with Rel, right? If there's no Thresh on the other side, usually it's you're safe to go. But Rakan has a lot of mobility, and Xayah is one of those AD champions, one of the very few AD champions that is purpose-built for kiting backwards. And if you're Rel, especially early, this is mostly a point for early laning phase, and you use your W to actually engage in, you move at like 100 movement speed, and you're in the feathers. So you have to imagine that a mistake early for Direwolves costs the life of one of their bot laners for sure, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of risk to consider there. but is still a fantastic engage choice with the Leona, with the Nautilus gone, and with the need for engage for Direwolf's composition. Could have been maybe been an Alistar. That's a pick that I would have liked personally, but more aggression perhaps with the Kai'Sa early.
Certainly used to be the case here. We are getting a lot of new champions coming out for Unique in that regard from PGG. They finish it off with the Rek'Sai as well as the Kennen. You want a more Kennen? Well, there it is, the Rek'Sai too. A champion that we have not seen in a very long time. Some welcome changes here as Direwolf's going to finalize things here with the Gragas. We wait to now see where all these lanes go. But for the most part, Rusty, I mean, it's everything you'd want for a brand new patch.
Yeah, I mean, most of the new champions are starting to be seen. I'm super glad, like you said, that Kennen's been seen. Rek'Sai also one of those champions that has been very close, right? Just on the edges, the outskirts of the competitive meta. Has its place. Can skirmish excellently into a Lee Sin just by design. You have the Umbaro anytime you try and use the Resonating Strike, the Q2 on the Lee Sin. Knocks him up, stops the damage output, and then of course you get to just stand and deliver during that combo. Also means that you have like really good self-peel, first of all, and you're very good at dueling by yourself. And Azaya Rakan don't really need the peel, and the Rise is going to be tanky. The only place where that Lee Sin kick is going to potentially be incredibly valuable is on the Kennen, maybe even kicking away in team fights. So we'll have to look at how Goodo chooses to play this game out, Skimmy, because for me, this is a finesse comp from Direwolf. It requires a lot of really expert skill shot placements and timings, because they've got a Cassiopeia that wants to use the Miasma and play it mid-range with a Kai'Sa that is presumably AD, which is short range. So you have to be positioned perfectly, and then you've got a Lee Sin to kick away and a Gragas to cast away. All of these things are difficult, right? You have to play it pretty perfectly to make this work. And the enemy comp, I think that, honestly, PGG are made with their 5v5.
Yeah, I think for ease of execution, right, you can sort of see what PGG put together. A nice slicing Maelstrom from the Kennen. Obviously, to lock down the team fight, the self-peeling of the Lovers duo in that bot lane, as well the rotational strength that we've seen come out of Yuri, as well as the prominent Rise players here, but also the Rek'Sai, another champion that you would have imagined would have been in Balkan's wheelhouse, right? Nice early aggression, lethality damage in your face, taking on threats wherever they may be, whereas Direwolves, as you also touched on, a lot of skill shots, a lot of punishment potential if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. So communication is going to be paramount. We have seen Direwolves, though, be very willing to experiment a lot of the time, and this might be the biggest one of them all.
This is going to be a very big one. Things to look forward to, Skimmy, as we jump into this is mainly going to be around the bottom lane and the jungle matchup. I think that Yuri's going to have a major influence in this, so just keep that in mind. If Balkan's an aggressive jungler, which I don't think we have to explain that he is, Ryze has a lot of potential to get priority in mid, so there's going to be a lot of brawling, a lot of health trading to try and get that prior for junglers to work, probably towards bottom.
Well, the stakes are certainly raised here. Pentanet currently in third, Direwolves locking in the fifth and final spot. A win here today would keep the dream alive of getting a little bit higher in those standings, potentially into the upper bracket, whereas for PGG, one win, and that dream is shattered. Well, let's check over the coaching staff, and let's welcome in Poltron from the side of Direwolves as we talk things here for the LCO. Poltron, I have to ask, playoffs now being secured, this is the first time for yourself and all the players being in that situation, so does that change your approach to these last 4 games at all?
Well, first off, I'd just like to say locking in playoffs is really big for both the coaching staff and the players. We're all super pumped to give it our all and see how far we can go. Regards to the final 4 games, not much has changed. We're still going to try to win them all. If we do manage to 4-0 and Pentanet and Order do stumble towards the end, we can lock in that upper bracket playoff spot, which will be really big for us as well.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And also, talking obviously a brand new patch, 12.5, we're seeing a lot of unique champions come out right out the gates. Was there ever a consideration whether or not you want to reveal it as to the flex between this Cass and Kai'Sa between mid and bot?
No comment on that one today.
No comment, yeah. Smart
No
man,
comment.
smart man. Well, we'll leave it. We'll let the game play out. But regardless, I'm very excited to see what you've put together. So, best of luck.
Thank you.
Sometimes you just can't say anything, Skibby.
Yeah, you have to get him with a little bit of a media training, see if he's willing to reveal anything. But no, smart man.
Limit testing in interviews. He stays strong. Weak side coach.
I'm just thinking, oh, yep.
We're getting to the laning phase down here in bottom lane. You can see it's a mind game between Rogue and Shinky. Rogue wants to be able to hold abilities. If Shinky wastes the W, then it's on. Level 2 is going to be pretty much matched here by both respective laners. Just to quickly reiterate the composition of Direwolves here as well. All of the champions that have disengage can engage, right? Elysian with a kick, a Gragas with a cast. They still have a lot of potential there for going forwards and mostly making picks with those. But I think their 1v1 opponents have a pretty good time in the laning phase, so you just have to keep in mind how difficult that could be for them early. Mid lane, I do think a Cassiopeia can handle a Ryze pretty happily. It just depends on how you want to play the lane, and as you would expect from Yuri on Ryze, usually you hit level 2 and you'll just try and push the wave in and give some freedom either for a deep ward or just for a bit of movement. So Cassiopeia is going to probably go for health trades, doesn't want to go for wave push, where Ryze wants to go for the wave and not so much the health trades.
And in that vein, we've seen how successful it has been for Alex Yuri. How many times have we seen him just shove a wave and go for a roam? Almost ignore the laning phase entirely. Much more adept at fighting skirmishes, linking up with Balkan and sort of winning the game in that regard. It's been an interesting topic, I think, as sort of we've seen champions like the Ryze, like the Ari become more and more prominent. What has actually opened up for the game as a whole. Balkan going to go down for the first grab. Actually going to link up now with Winter to guarantee the second one. Not the biggest deal, but certainly some nice established vision control.
Yeah, it's just good money, right? Like, 70 gold each time you get to Scuttle Crab. They're free, so you can cross through mid for free. Gonna have a quick look here. Saw the Tremor Sense, but doesn't get a single Krug skimmy. It was a nice idea, though.
It could be a nice one as well. Zonas is lower mana, but he wants to try and really delay the tempo. That's going to upset the reset just a little bit more. Surely no, because now Gudo has all the world to do whatever he wants. Rogue, he flashed into life. What on earth was that? This is the grand entrance. Now Gudo's going to have a crack at things, just a resonating strike, and says, no, nothing left in the tank. Two mid laners with no mana. They're just spectators in this one.
Hey, one has biscuits though. That's the big point of difference there. Yuri's going to be able to push the wave out into reset if he wants, even though it's a cannon wave, has the bickies. So Yuri does kind of win that 1v1 as far as mid laners are concerned. Rogue flashes though to not hit the W. And then as Kiyose goes to throw the grounded miasma, right? Like wants to actually stop Rogue from getting safely back and maybe get at least a good health trade, just mistimes it. And Rogue's able to walk his way back to safety. So it was really nothing in the end, right? It's just a transaction of a single summoner spell for waves pushed into a reset. But that's literally it.
Whether or not that has any consequences now as they return to bot lane, because I still feel, as you say, there is that growing threat as to what moment does Shinky decide to make his first move, right? He is also running the Glacial Augment. It's going to be a little bit squishier, as has been the narrative of this brand new season of changes. So if there is a big wave crashing, if there's a lot of feathers stacked up, a recall, you're dead, you're gone, and it's going to be very hard to answer back, especially once, Praetor's got the Featherstorm too.
This is the type of Rel rune build that will result in a lot of deaths, right? If the fights are on an even state. Gudo has got multiple people collapsing on him, including the AD. Looking to staunch them out of the jungle. And this is interesting so far because we've seen so much movement from Pentanet.gg, but we've seen literally nothing taken. I think this is the first actual point that they might gain something big from it. The reason Balkan has a jungle creep lead is just because of the fight that happened in mid, right? A little bit of extra tempo for Balkan, even with the upset recall top. Just gets 2 extra camps, and so it will just be the first objective 6 minutes in. But most of the time has been spent tracking and finding this Lee Sin. And he is one of the catalysts for Direwolves' early game success. The amount of ganks that he gets off bottom lane, or for the bottom lane, regardless of what lane they're in, was a major part of the Direwolves' success.
Yeah, and especially in the last game when Gudo played the Lee Sin, he had a phenomenal start at 1.4-0. A big driving force, right? Definitely equaling, if not outpacing Balkan to showcase what he can do. So a clear game plan, not only with this pick, but the play style. Lock down the Lee Sin and win these lanes.
Balkan.
For it. Not going to find a knock-up. No, fantastic delay there by the rail. Shinky, eyes on the prize. There's the rip back. There's the summoner heal. And Frost in a lot of trouble early on.
Yeah, you're not allowed to sleep on the Zaya Rakan damage, even with the Rek'Sai out of the little skirmish stuck on the Glacial Augment. They'll push them back. They'll presumably force the reset. The awkward part here is that Frost is choosing to stay heal missing. Potions running, but they've just finished, right? So this is a half health Kai'Sa that's trying to stay in lane. One misstep and the punish could be super high, but I think it will just be a recall from PGG. If Praedyth was closer to 6, there's a chance they dive, right? Because he can reset turret aggro, but nevertheless, that one is done. And just a quick check-in for you as well, Skimmy, because we were looking at this, of course, through the draft phase. Is it an AP Kai'Sa mid? Was one of the questions. It's obviously not mid. Hail of Blades is seen, I believe, for both builds, AD and AP. But in this comp, I don't think you ever want to lease in to be a sole source of physical damage. So I would be surprised if this is anything other than your prototypical, like, full AD Kai'Sa build. Which I think is confirmed now. 3 longswords could still be a Manamune, but now that it's a Noon Quiver, I think we know.
I'm imagining Kraken Slayer collect then, off she goes into just straight damage infinity. Would have been exciting though, but certainly would have put a lot of priority on Gura to try and pop off. Shell wouldn't be the easiest, given sort of some of the limitations talked about with skill shots and ranged mismatches.
Yeah, dude, and
regardless though, PGG are going to continue to drive things home. First Dragon into now first Herald, and Direwolves still going to try and make their first move by doing an invade into the enemy jungle's red side.
Red Raptor's going to be taken. It is a Drake in favor of PGG, and it is about to be a Herald as well. And with that, I mean, it is just going to be a couple of jungle CS bought back for Gudo. Level 6 now on the board for everybody in the game except for supports, it seems like. And this is one of those first moments where you could expect, it's not going to have to happen by any means with objectives gone, but you could see a bit more proactivity across the whole map, right? Kennen having his ultimate. And obviously get some nice little players off, slice through teams. If he gets a free reset, he could definitely look towards a transition towards other lanes and teleporting back, but even Winter has used his teleport back for lane, so pretty casual game so far. Very, very slow. Not passive, just slow.
We get too excited over it so far, but it's a case of multiple moves being made, putting in place the pieces, unlock that puzzle, and to find that little break. Gudo will make his way towards bot side and saying, well, they've got the Herald. No doubt about it, they're going to deploy onto the map and try and get as many plates as possible. It's already been summoned. That tower is as good as gone. A plate found bot side. Instant Featherstorm. Shinky's in trouble. Dismounted and being flashed upon.
And Rise ulti.
That's all it takes. First blood to come on through. Yuri rocks up with that ultimate as you highlight. And that is 2 kills as easy as you like. And that's just PGG winning on opposite ends of the map.
And it all just comes tumbling down, right? 9 minutes into this one. Direwolves, they don't just try and make a play bottom, they simply show their hand. It is known that Balkan is at Krugs with the Herald to summon. And maybe in the heads of Direwolves, they were thinking about a cross-map play. But the top turret had already been chunked out. Winter is doing work 1v1. That's the downside of picking the Gragas right into a champion that doesn't have a resource requirement. It's just energy. Kennen stays, Kennen perseveres. He gets a lot of pressure in that lane. Turrets will result, rather plates will result in a full turret with the Herald that gets summoned. And you're trying to dive a Xayah Ricard. Xayah level 6, you have to actually have enough damage, I think, to one-hit combo before she gets the ultimate off. But Praedyth is full health. Just presses R, gets Lee Sin kicked, but there's no damage, right? Even without an exhaust, there's no damage. Frost's such a low-range champion, not going to get enough work done. They had to try and chip them before they threatened the dive. The Direwolves force and lose in 2 fronts.
Yeah, Overforce almost compelled to. And ultimately, that tension that we're building up towards that 10-minute mark is dissipated into a sizable Pentanet lead now, up by 3,000 gold. Comfortable position for them. Mythic items coming on through. Prowler's Claw complete there for the Rek'Sai. Gale Force also for Praedyth. More mobility. Going to be clutch to finding the best possible positioning with that rip back of all those feathers. They're on to the second Drake, and I suppose really if you're looking at Direwolves, you're thinking, what do we need? And ultimately, you need items on this Cassiopeia. You need items also in this Kai'Sa.
Yeah, they do. They realistically are looking for, like, you know, 1-2 full items to be completed as soon as possible. Scale up, you know, get the evolves, or the evolutions, I guess you could say. I'm going to use English for the Kai'Sa, and then Kyosei obviously does scale up super well, but at the moment is just farming, and Arise likes to do the exact same thing. It's very difficult once we get into team fights and 5v5 Skimmy to avoid the feathers, and I think now that it is a Fed Xayah, Yuri, a quick boy.
Is, eh? Speedy phase rush. Oh, here we go though. Quickness being popped in the bot lane. From mid to bot we go. They are zooming into live. And that is the pain and punishment. You have no flash. You are just not getting away. Balkan also wants to get in on the action. He's going to look to try and leap on towards this target, which is a Gragas. Nice and tanky. Ult to disengage away. But waves are just crashing at all three places.
Lee Sin going to have a crack bottom, it seems like, but top's got the inner turret getting threatened. Of course, the respawn of Shinky does mean that he can run straight to top lane. Kratos, no ultimate, no flash. Oh, Isaiah Khan mechanic abuses.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the best example of Lovers Duo you will ever see. Kyosei comes in, Twin Fangs connect. You are getting locked down by this one. Slicing Maelstrom is not enough of appeal. As he's looking for that speedy boost one more time. There it is, burnt flash, and very hard to run down a cannon.
Yeah, Gragas no ulti, so they're not going to be able to chase that one any further. I think Balkan kind of playing League of Legends like we're 30 minutes in, and just respawn timers aren't that long yet. So the rest of Direwolves are able to pretty casually get up there and make the play happen. The fact that they're pressuring top while still winning bottom, no matter what gets sent to them, though, is still speaking extremely positively towards the side of Pentanet.gg. This is one of those game states where something has to change, right? The pattern has to break for anyone to really have a shot on the Direwolves side. And I think that could just be like flipping the map, changing lane assignments, playing for Heralds perhaps, right? Like there's options that exist. I think it's just the Direwolves are the ones that are pressed to do it.
Certainly not being given any room to breathe right now, though, as they go into live into the bot lane. And just look at the CC overlap.
Yeah.
Finish is just gone.
Just gets beaten down. I think he tried to cancel the grand entrance from the Rakan with his body slam, but the knock-up still happened. Zaya's going to hit the feathers, and that is a very dead Gragas. And game's going to continue business as usual, right? We don't even need the replay from what happened bottom into how Shinky died. We spoke about it in Champ Select. You don't even need to see it. If Shinky misses his engage because of Zaya ults, Shinky's dead. It's also not an aftershock rel, so it's even easier to kill that rel. And how that influences the map is wild. I mean, this is one of those moments where, like, perhaps my musing of the rel could be an Alistar is true. Maybe it is a Zac support angle.
One day, I'm sure it will come out.
Yeah, that works into a cannon, works into a Zaya.
What they need now, though, is to work out an angle to find a pick, and that's looking good right there. Shinky flashes on through, Magnet Storm onto 2, moving up the rest of PGG on the disengage. They're going to find Balkan. Can they find more? Petrifying Gaze locks in place Rogue, as now Winterer is in trouble. The rip back of the feathers is not enough. The ice to the bleed of the poison, and an explosive cast splits apart the team. Shut down here for Frost. Multiple flash burn, but they found some kills and they've tied it up.
That's so important from Direwolves. They actually find something they're after, right? They do change their lane assignments. They do cause a bit of chaos on the map. They get a point where they have some vision control. Shinky is working with Gudo as well, right? And they actually get the flash rel engaged. That's what they're after, and that's what's been missing from them so far for the first 15 minutes, and that's crucial, right? Because it's not just kills, it's shutdowns, it's a Herald objective. The Proto Belt gets effectively cancelled by Shinky pulling them back, and Winterer doesn't have ult for like 5 seconds. So he gets it just on the back end of that fight. That ult from Frost was actually sick, because Kai'Sa kind of corrals the cannon back towards the rest of his team, and then Zoranus comes in with the cheeky bomber, and is able to make sure they get another one.
They needed that sorely, and that is now giving them a new lease on life. They've picked up the second Herald in their game, now got an avenue to attack, some items to spike with. Actually, Frost originally picked up the Cracker, so they actually sold it to go for the Gale Force instead now, so opting for a little bit more mobility rather than just raw damage stats. Whether or not they contest this one, though, given that they burnt those flashes. Might just look to try and siege instead.
And it is not a Shinzao that is the jungler for Pentagon.gg. That is one thing that... I mean, it's obvious to say that, right? It's a Rek'Sai, but it means that there's not going to be guaranteed zone control in these early skirmishes. It means that the jungler of PGG is fairly fragile. And if you're looking at who the tank is for their squad, there isn't really one. Yuri will be. It's a teleport playing.
They're finding the angles, aren't they? Realm Warp isn't up just yet. The Dragon is being picked up here by Direwolves. Petrifying Gaze goes out, but it's not going to be enough. He's already going to look to try and turn around. Direwolves are doing whatever they can. Balkan prowls into life to try and get that execution. They're going to find 2 with it. And whilst they will lose the Drake, if they can get multiple members, Gudo is going to try and disengage to, well, nowhere, because everybody is swarming on top of him. That's a triple. That's the first ace of the game.
Yeah, and it's going to be a pretty easy ace in the end from Pentanet.gg. The teleport flank came in pretty clutch. But the main point that I wanted to make there was originally, I mean, they don't have the tankiest roster, so you have to be super careful walking into this engage. We look at who Shinky goes on. It is Praetor, it is Yuri. That's optimal, right? Gragas Cask then pulls them into the middle of the team. But unfortunately, the issue with the Cask is it was a great Cask, but it pushes them towards the rest of PGG who are flanking. So it actually turns the fight almost into just a standard fight instead of maybe even casking to split or saving the ultimate for the cannon when he comes in. Because that is the most important thing that was missing for Direwolves. You have no exhaust in your team against a cannon, which as a support player, I find that pretty rough. You need an exhaust to be able to go out when the cannon ults, or you're going to be suffering. You then don't use the Gragas ultimate or the Lee Sin kick purely to disengage that cannon, so that's usually just losing.
Yeah, and that was definitely a big point you raised in the drafting phase as to how would Gudo, and I suppose by auxiliary, Xerenis 2, look to try and match, and ultimate does come out from the cannon, so...
Frost could have exhaust as well, in reality.
Sure. Would have been dead though, without that heal in that previous exchange in bot lane, however, but that is the beauty of hindsight. Ooh, good dodge on the Sonic Wave. Direwolves were hunting for something. Flashes were there for Shinky with ultimate in hand too. There's Xerenis on the flank as well. They might get pinched in mid lane. Is it the PGG curse?
Xerenis has flash up in about 2 seconds. It is up now. So if that wave were to crash, there could have been an angle there for sure. Zaya's wave clear just a little bit cooked. Very difficult to actually push into a Zaya. Same thing can be said for most of the comp of PGG as well, to be fair. Walking towards them is very difficult. You realistically want them coming towards you. So that's where these objectives come into play. That's where vision comes into play, or you just don't play the 5v5, right? You just play for picks.
I've seen a big emphasis on both Yuri and Winter playing to those side lanes, right? Looking to try and draw apart Direwolves, which have been grouped up very keen to find those picks to punish wherever they can. Looking at another moment now, turning their attention to the side lanes. The Direwolves split apart and going towards Yuri. There is the Miasma trading out of these Everfrost.
Ooh.
Sidesteps that one. He's not going to get locked in place by the Petrifying Gaze, but he can't dodge the Insect. The Rail Wall! It's not going to be enough. It is a shutdown. Now PG going to look to try and push mid lane. As a result, trade his life for a tier 2.
Still a decent trade in the end from PGG, given that they broke that mid lane inner turret. But it is an 850 gold shutdown, so that is still significant. The average gold favors Direwolves for that trade. They are still 5,000 gold down, however, with no real control on the map. You're just getting extra money in your pockets. Beyond the money that they're achieving, we have to look at how they actually try and get back into this game and win this, as teleport the turret will be used.
He just pokes his head in, goes, all right then, back how they go. Yeah, that's the big talking point, right? At the moment, up by, what, 5, soon to be 6,000 gold here for Pentanet. Definitely keeping their foot on the pedal of making sure that they've got all this tempo.
It's like, you know what a traditional Cassiopeia comp would look like, right? Like your AD would be a Jinx or a Caitlyn more often than not. And one of the reasons for that is because a Jinx and a Caitlyn are both scaling AD options, right, that are long range. I don't think that Kai'Sa ever fits the role of a long-ranged AD, which means that Direwolves compositionally, I mean, geez, what if it was a Lulu Cogmore, right? Just another example. You got a Cassiopeia, at least in a Gragas to keep you standing and delivering. It feels like that's not the case, and that's where I have my gripe with the composition. It's still good, right? But just how it plays into PGG is rough. Kai'Sa wants to flip the map, often with the team fights, right? If everyone's engaging, then a Kai'Sa tends to go with them. But then what is the Cassiopeia doing? It's just, you know, this weird combination of champions where I feel like the identity of PGG is just cohesive.
Got a point. Let's see if they can make it work. As Gudo jumps in and realizes that's not the fight he's after. That's a lot of damage from the missiles as they look to try and disengage away. Predator's been pounced upon with the Killer Instinct. And Frost has got that Killer Instinct. He's found a double here. He's not going to run them all down. In close proximity, he's found himself a triple kill. Now on towards that cannon, who finds the Lee Sin. We're going to pay the price for it. He's got a quad. There's the potential here for a pentakill for Frost. But the Realm Warp will spoil the party.
Yeah, Ryze will get the ultimate into mid, but Direwolves do exactly what's needed of them, right? They're fighting an uphill battle, they're down in gold, but they have a bit of map positioning, and with just an inch of space given to them by PGG, they'll find and engage once again. But it's about the pick, right? It's not forcing a 5v5 at an objective, it's fighting before the objective is a concern or an issue. They get the pick, and then the fight is easy, because the flank doesn't matter. And that's huge from Dials. That is game-defining from them. And from a losing situation, upwards of 6k at one point, it felt like. Excuse me, we're down to 2.
Certainly are. I mean, just look how this all starts off, right? Gudo going in, getting Charm, getting Feather ripped back, but then the instant damage that Frost can get onto Predator, realizing he's, on his own.
And Zoran is another nasty cast, I'll be honest. Pushes Rogue back into the team. Rek'Sai caught in the crosshairs from the engage of Shinky just going towards Praedyth and Rogue, and Frost able to flip the fight. Yuri Winterer late to the fight is the talking point, because it wasn't a fight, right? It was Direwolves getting a pick.
Yeah, and really having to burn a lot to make sure that they even traded back at least one on that occasion. Winterer burning Flash. As you saw from the tail end of that replay, just to take down Gudo. Those are some very valid concerns as to if you split them apart, if you can punish them when they're down. What does it mean? Beautiful cast from Zernes. That might be enough. Unless they decided all in on this one. Gragas is going to find himself in a spot above it. He's got some mitigation, but it might not be enough on this occasion. Frost down at 20% already as the fight breaks out. Winterer going to kill confirm on towards Shinky. They found 2. They're at the Baron, but the Baron's already gone. And that's a massive turnaround by the Petrifying Gaze. Kyosei, has he found enough in this team fight? Winterer's off to the sidelines. Kyosei's isolated. Frost has been taken down. 2 members left. A flash roll from Yuri, locking him in place with that flux.
Kyosei, though.
Around with the poison. I mean, this Cassiopeia, level 15, really packing a punch at this stage, especially with Baron buff. 1 poison.
Oh, he's got him.
There is no way you were going! He's just cancelled out the Realm Warp. Incredible.
They fight out. Direwolves actually fight out of that situation where PGG are for the first time, really, on the map grouped as 5 making the play. Look at the damage from mid laners in that last fight as well. I mean, that is huge out of both of them. To be fair, a lot of it was hitting each other. But this game has just completely turned on its head, and Direwolves, Kyosei says, I don't need a carry behind me. I am the carry. And just annihilates them on the back half of this fight. Zorina starts getting caught, but look at what's used to make sure this does happen, right? You've got the Rek'Sai ultimate, the Everfrost. Rakan uses the W to engage as well. And then Winterer uses the ultimate, but it's just getting damage on the Frost. It's zoning him away. Gale Force is a little bit too strong. Kyosei just smacks them, one-hit Rogue. And just look at the zone control. Lee Sin, sick kick from Gudo, right? Keeping them in the choke point. Locking them down, just hitting cast Qs. This from PGG, way too far. It's just, frankly, way too far, right?
It just doesn't get any better for these 2 mid laners, right? They want uptime to cycle for those cooldowns, and hence why the damage was exponentially large. Beautiful stuff.
It's back-to-back fights as well. Like, they, at a minimum, are going even. 1 fight they choose, 1 fight PGG choose. And we have got a game on our hands.
And I know we spoke about this off air as we went into today, right? We just want a game where there's a late game Elder, late game Baron, anything where there's a goal difference which is close. And right now we find ourselves definitely at that point, right? Only 2k, as you saw before, separating these 2 teams. Sole point to play for here for PGG. That's up in just over 90 seconds. But Baron's not too far away as well.
You know what annoys me, Skimmy? Is that any time I talk about Direwolves drafting weird, we said the same thing with LeBlanc. They'll make it work. They just defy belief every single time. You know, the players work so well together, it feels like they're a good match for play styles, and they've had a few weeks now to really get it together. But even in the composition where perhaps it's hard to play, perhaps the execution is incredibly high degree of difficulty, they still find ways to make it work against some of the best teams in the league, and this is why they are a playoffs team in Split 1 of the LCO.
Yeah, I mean, to their credit, right? I suppose going all the way back to our power rankings, we knew this would be a strong team. They were the standouts on their roster for last year as their rookies, but to be this far up this early on, certainly defying expectations as to just how quickly they're growing.
Still not a free game for anyone at this point, though. Like you rightly highlight, we have ourselves a very even game, so scaling actually does come into question here. Zarya scales pretty nicely. She is very difficult to deal with at all stages, especially with the Rakan to protect, but a good rel engage, a Kai'Sa that can follow through. Kai'Sa has pretty nasty team fighting. It's just a bit closer range, a bit harder to navigate. Lee Sin Gragas degree of difficulty high, but the scaling is still decent. It will be a pure tank Gragas. Lee Sin is the one who drops off a little bit, right? But it's almost like a roller coaster. There is the point where one kick makes the difference. There is a point where you're useless, and then there is a point where one kick can make the difference.
That's all it really takes, right? You switch from doing damage to just being utility. And that is a scary proposition to find yourself in. They're going to make the trade here, PGG. Sacrifice the Drake. Soul point not important for them. Much rather break open the base, which they're successful in doing so. They've exposed mid lane inhibitor. And they're going to work their way towards now the top tier 2 and just getting a huge structural lead.
Gragas going to walk in here.
Uh-oh, he's been caught in vision. Not the target they're after, though. You saw how long it tried to take him down before.
Whoa.
Kick goes out, but I think the quickness was just enough to try and dissuade any kind of flashy ward hops.
Yeah, it was going to be a flash kick there, 100% from Gudo. It seems like we've all been baited. He's back straight away. But yeah, Gudo was going to look for the flash kick there. It did seem like they had caught someone out of position, but at the end of the day, quickness is just a little bit too powerful for Lee Sin to deal with.
Yeah.
And so there is no, unfortunately for Direwolves, no follow-up to be seen. PGG are going to be very happy with the situation that just occurred, right? Full red side jungle cleared. Gold goes from even to, 2 to 3k in their favor. Direwolves can't be too angry if you consider that they denied a Hextech soul. But, I mean, it's interesting if you take stock, Skimmy, that PGG weren't even showing any intent to fight for it. It seems they were more interested in getting that gold lead back in their hands before they try and take the fight. And it's smart because no team would expect you to do that when it's a sole point. They expect you to fight.
And especially given how good, PGG squad is for taking those fights, right? You talk about the fact that they want to lock people down with that slicing maelstrom from a flank from what the rest of the team has to offer. They're the ones saying, no, we're going to actually split apart and look to try and go for the flanking angles, or actually just go for the structural siege instead. The one thing that stands out to me like a sore thumb is just how many items Kyosei has. Look at that, 4 completed items, a stopwatch, and a completed Dark Seal. He's well ahead of Yuri. That's the benefit, I suppose, of playing KCP with no boots.
The joys of no boots into crowd control. Certainly one hell of an experience. Direwolves will abuse the fact that we just saw PGG with a full disengage. Of course, we did unfortunately have the pause, but we come back into full control of the Baron area. And it's just a case of staunching them out. So this trade, right, this push into mid lane to break open the base, a red side jungle taken away, still kind of just results in an even gold trade. And now a Baron buff in the hands of Direwolves, you can't help but feel like one mistake from PGG and this map just explodes. There is enough standing gold here with inner turrets to take as well, that it's certainly possible that this swings very aggressively into the way of the Direwolves.
Yeah, and it's very hard now for PGG to try and push forward any more than they already have in this situation. Definitely have to wait out this Baron buff right now. Obviously terrified of what the roster Direwolves can do if they do get caught out of position. Respecting it. Disengaging away from the enemy side jungle, back into theirs, and try and see if anybody from their side looks to overextend.
I mean, it's just a cast used by Zoranus, a pot shot, if you will. Praetor doesn't have life still in his build, but he does have some in runes, but Baron buff minions, pretty hard to life steal through. So Gudo, you can see, just being a bit of a pest. Keeping Baron on that wave. I don't mind that from Zoranus. I like the idea, if it works, it works. If it forces a Zarya off in response, that is a comprehensive victory for you. But still, a little bit.
It's a very short cooldown as well, right? So
yeah,
there's no real harm in it.
Exactly. You can see it's already over halfway back. Kratos was just a little bit too steadfast.
Here we go, though. PGG want the false. Straight on towards the Miasma. They're in trouble. Only one goes through. That is going to be Rogue, who's just instantly evaporated. And down goes Balkan, dodging out some skill shots. In comes Winter on the flank with a slicing maelstrom. Shingi disengaging away. Predator not interested anymore. They attention on towards Kyosei instead, and they do find that all-important shot. And it is Yuri that actually trades his life for it. The Featherstorm comes undone. It does take up Frost too. And now Balkan against the world. In comes Gudo with a kick to his head to disengage away. And even still with a Baron buff, it's a very close exchange.
Shinky and Gudo do get it done on the back end of the fight, but Praedyth is really the hero through most of that one. And we spoke about this just before with the Gragas ultimate used in mid. The fact that Praedyth held his ultimate for the longest possible amount of time, you will see during this fight as well, barely pressured. Rakan goes in, has the ultimate on, but just lands on a miasma and is absolutely caught inting. Winter will come in with a big flash, proto belts forwards, can't get too much done because it's not a massive flank, right? It's almost directly next to the rest of his team. Frost comes in for the play, but because Praedyth was untouched through most of that, has the ultimate there and is able to actually win the 1v1. Where it really did come down to this fight, which AD can get more work done. It is a big Kai'Sa, but Praedyth just a little bit too strong.
And that's the difference. It's just having that one extra ability, not enough pressure going onto him to full set that Featherstorm early. It certainly did look like Frost was on a bit of a 1v9 tear on the back end of that team fight, but these Realm Whoops are dangerous. And I ever wonder if there's a situation right now where you're just chucking that one out, but nobody is stepping through it. You're baiting out some cooldowns preemptively to see how Direwolves respond to it, because as you just saw, you walk through, you're as good as gone.
And I was just about to talk about how these fights could start, Skibby, because it's so interesting to me how they're going to navigate around a Cassiopeia that's fed. Kyose's so large, right, that the only way that they're going to be able to take out this snake is a cannon flank or like something big from Belkan. The primary damage source that's going to be hitting him is most likely just going to be the Rek'Sai and AoE from the cannon. So the fact that they managed to get that working in the last fight is speaking very well for PGG, who this time around, Skimmy, they want to fight for the soul.
Certainly do. Quick summoner check. Gudo has flash. Praedyth has flash. Otherwise, there's a big absence of those summoners. When it jumps in, they've claimed themselves the Hextech Soul. That's for PGG now. Can they win the team fight as a result of this one? Kyose's found a kill. They've taken down 2. And now Winter on the flank, searching for an angle, but he just could not find it. A flash forward isn't enough. Oh, but there's the missile connecting from the Kai'Sa. Shutdowns spamming the scoreboards. And now they're down for 30, 40 seconds.
Yeah, that's enough to push through, right? That is a minimum inhibitor you're expecting to see from them now with 3 minions. Look at Yuri, he wants to try and trim potentially the wave. It could be something that tries to save the game, but he's going to choose to recall. He's going to stand with Praedyth this time around. Direwolves wouldn't be surprised if they go for the end here and now. So low though, it's risky.
It is a dangerous situation. Shinky and Gudo, Locker comes out nice and early. Order attention! Pile driving into a target onto Yuri. He goes golden. He buys time. Ejir gets propped and a kill comes out. They're respawning from the fountain and they're jumping in. The Nexus turrets are still standing, if not very fragile. A beautiful grand entrance from Rogue. Literally doing whatever he could. As Balkan jumps through and gets the ace.
The Direwolves try so desperately to end the game with no health to their name. And Mechanics Max coming out of PGG, right? Teleports come in bottom, straight towards mid lane. It's going to be the mid inhibitor and probably the bot lane inner turret. They can transition this to Baron as well if they would like. And all of the good work that Direwolves put in to win the fight just immediately, once again, comes undone.
And the saving grace for them, no doubt about it, will be the fact that there is no mid-wave for PGG to push with, that they can't end the game. They will get a second chance here.
Winter that's literally the most obvious flank in the entirety of the planet, right? Like, it's telegraphed. Shinky knows this. Shinky's going to play disengage. Gragas and Lee Sin focus on the fight. So easy for Direwolves, knowing where the cannon is, to just play the 4v4, while PGG are trying to play for the Drake at the same time. So I really like this from Direwolves, choosing to fight. I just like the way that they operate in the fights. If flanks are the most important way, if they're going to win Skimmy, stop the flank, win the game, is Direwolves' game plan, and Shinky has it covered.
Direwolves as a whole seem to have it covered. They've definitely got this game on a knife's edge. 2k gold difference seems to be the magic number right now, as it has remained now for, it feels like, the last 20 minutes of gameplay. And certainly been in situations like this before. I mentioned before, they've been so close to taking down some of these top teams, always falling at the final hurdle. You were worried for a second when they got wiped on that siege attempt, if that would be it one more time, but thankfully it's not to be the case.
Definitely got very intense at the finish line almost there for Direwolves, but a final trip over at the last remaining hurdle. Well played by PGG, of course, to defend their base. Baron wasn't taken during that replay, but is going to be kicked off now. Winterer is on a nice little flank. if Direwolves come in to contest this objective.
Certainly going to be a lot slower than a Kaiser Cassiopeia taking this one down, that's for sure. Making their way into the pit is Direwolves.
Look at
Winter
Winter. He's been
Kyosei
spotted.
completely untouched. Winter is looking for it. He jumps into line. Instant kick away. Going golden, buying time. Slicing Maelstrom has expired. In goes Balkan. Looking to try and snipe at a key target. They've traded 1-for-1 so far. Zrenis is dead, but can he try and take out this Cassiopeia? He's massive. He's still got Zhonya's. He's still got Flash, but he found a double kill so far here for Pradev. And he's just going to try and find them all. He's found a triple. And you just feel heartbroken for Direwolves here. So incredibly fed. But PGG find that one team fight that they needed.
Yeah, Goodo maybe tries to cut a wave, but Praetor's just going to stop him, and there's already a wave in mid lane. Teleport going to be used here, and Pensinet thought GG. I mean, they got to the enemy Nexus Direwolves, but it's unfortunately their Nexus that's going to fall with another big team fight.
PGG get the win that they needed to prevent Direwolves making it in to the upper bracket. They are guaranteed at the highest now a top 4 finish, but for PGG, far out. Your heart certainly flooded there for a few seconds. You're thinking, is an upset about to happen?
It was close. This was a great game to kick off the week of the LCO. It was very tense. It could have gone either way, right? A lot of good early moves from PGG, it's definitely fair to say, but Direwolves, they just put the work in, right? They hit the team fights when they needed to, and they brought the game back from like a 6k deficit to dead even, to bang on even, and then they had a chance to win. So they'll be gutted that that did disappear for them, but still a very good game of League overall.
And Mac, I suppose, you know, we're seeing now a lot of these solid performances coming in from Direwolves week in and week out. It just gets us that much more excited for when we do start to see the best of fives, right? If they've got all this consistency to really challenge these top teams, just give them a bit of time and, you know, a lot more factors start to get involved.
That's exactly what I was going to say, right? Like, look how close these games are getting in the best of ones. Best of fives are only like 2-3 weeks away now, and boy, it's going to be so good because you're going to see these drafts slightly shift each time. You're going to see, you know, little micro adaptations throughout the games as well, just to see exactly how everything changes. And look, PGG, they reckon they're going to be one of the teams that excel in those scenarios. But after what we saw here from Direwolves, when they were like 7 or so kills down at one point, it looked like, you know, the gold diff was getting big enough that PGG could have closed it. But then there was just that one team fight with Kyosei standing around the corner. Big ults, Mans just did so much damage. I think it was over 6k he ended up dishing out through that fight. But unfortunately, it was not enough. And I didn't know I was a fan of Kyosei on the Cassiopeia, but man, I am now a big fan of him on this, as well as, you know, his other little champ pool. It just keeps on getting bigger, and he seems to have the mechanics to make it work every single time, except this one time when Direwolves couldn't finish. They couldn't even get that turret. Look how low it is, one hit away. They knew that they had to go for the fight, but again, PGG, that fight from Balkan, from Rogue, really saved the day. So everyone picking it up, and look, this as well, baiting him in with this Baron was enough to get the dub. And that's what it's all about, right? PGG, you know, showing the fortitude, not kneeling and giving it up, especially in those situations we saw, you know, 5 minutes prior to this fight. And it just kept on going. It just kept on going. I didn't want it to end because I didn't know which way it was going to end, Rusty.
Yeah, I mean, it could have gone either way for sure. But in the end, you know, when it came down to crunch time, that last remaining team fight at the Baron buff, too many resources into just stopping Winterer from getting in. But you can't forget about the rest of the roster, and just a little bit too powerful on the side of PGG. When you bring a chaotic game about, I do think they just thrive.
I have a good idea for a game, actually. So the NeoSurf gold difference, having a look at that, right? We should get a picture of all of these at the end of the split and then put them up and say, all right, what game's this? And you've got to guess the game off of the gold graph. Because there's a couple of games where it just like skyrockets, but it shows, you know, the time as well. Anyway, look, that's all spitballing. Let's take stock of everything here. They fought so hard to stop PGG from getting that soul, but maybe that was the difference that pushed them over the line there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they did their homework really well. I love the bans coming in here from Direwolves. There were some questions about their draft as a whole, right? The range in this match, which I think is still valid. But I feel like looking at that last replay, the the impact that Kiyose could find, he was paramount, without a shadow of a doubt, into what they could do in that team fight. He was definitely on Winter patrol, making sure that they could limit what this Kennen could do, but you saw in that last fight, he walked in, got chain CC'd into his zone, he was unable to really emit as much pressure as we'd seen him do in the previous fights, and BGG were able to sort of showcase their class in these high stress situations one more time. But I mean, it's so hard to call these Direwolves games because they're just getting so close on repeat into teams like PG. They're taking down Order. They're disrupting teams like Peace. You're just thinking, how far can they really go?
That's the real question, right? And look, the amount of damage that Praedyth did that game, I swear, if it's not, you know, the most damage done in one game here on the LCO, it's got to be right up there, right? Now, look, Kitty, I want your opinion on what the hell just went down, and tell me, who do you have for the postman?
Dude, that was such a banger. I don't know why Giles keeps going for these really awkward ends at the game, at the end of the game, because they always seem to throw their win away. But let's bring in Rogue to talk about that game that they just played. So Rogue, having an extremely back and forth game, which really gave me a heart attack. Hopefully you didn't have a heart attack during that game. What went wrong during that game?
Yeah, I think like we figured out that we won, and so we were like, that was good stage practice, so let's like throw it back and then we'll win again. So it was one of those ones. It was like, can we, like, we won, all right, but let's make it fun. So then we were just like, let him have Baron a few times, throw him a few bones.
Well, very generous coming out of PGG, but you guys had to play the Baron fight perfectly because it was the game-deciding fight. So how did you guys actually plan out the fight with the Zyra Khan and the Kennen on the team comp?
I mean, the whole fight, like, you even saw there was like one team fight at like the Dragon where it just looked real bad because they had a great engage, but then we just had Kennen behind, and that's like the moral of the story. If like Kennen gets behind or is too much of a threat being behind, like they fall on one front or the other. Like their comp was great, but they don't have, like, they have tools to like block him, I guess, but there's a lot of things to block. Like they have to block me and him, which is a lot to do.
And we've actually seen Dials nearly take 2 wins away from Peace and PG. Do you think Dials is going to be a team that you guys need to look out for in the future?
Yeah, I said this before. I think that they're a roster with really good players. They're definitely like the kind of players that would be superstar players in like a year or two. All they need is just good coaching and good leadership, and like the ability to learn. If they have someone teaching them, these are the next players that go head over to NA for sure. This roster's great. It's just that lack of experience at the moment. I don't know, you know, if they have a good structure for leadership and things like this and teaching like in game, but as I said, yeah, like this is a scaling team for sure.
Well, we saw great potential from both teams tonight. Well, Rogue, I'm going to let you go and have some rest for tomorrow, and thank you for your interview.
Awesome, thank you.
Always good to hear from him, and I love how he sort of spun the storyline. It was, just throw him a couple of bones, throw him a couple of barons, see if they can get back into the game. Ha! In control the whole time though, right, Rusty?
Yeah, sure, mate. I was going to say maybe he's throwing because he's not looking as dapper as we normally see from the man. No suits, a couple more throws in the game. Perhaps that's the real issue here.
Could be it. Definitely could be it. Now, look, if you guys want to get involved in the conversation, please just reach out on Twitter. Go follow the damn thing, and you'll keep up to date with all the damn updates. But we got a second game to get to, so we're not going to hang around here. We got to jump on into that after the Dare MVP, which is right now. Who is it? It's Praedyth. Man did so much damage. He's so good. Man's bloody handsome as well. If I could give him one of these beautiful Dare Sparkling Cold Brew Black Coffee Original cans, I would. But unfortunately, he's in Melbourne, so I can't do it too easily. But look, he's got other things going for him, like heaps good stats here, Skimmy.
Yeah, heaps good stats. I mean, I feel like it was really exciting to sort of see that him get certainly challenged in the draft to say you need to pick something else. Not to say that he can't, because he certainly can. But to see the way that the Zaya performed, understanding the matchup, punishing when applicable, and able to survive a lot of these dives, and really showcasing that this game was going to be, for the most part, won. Big emphasis on the AD carries to pop off, especially given the amount of pressure that Frost was pumping out too. So to see how he performed and respected those matchups and cooldowns was fantastic to see.
Love this. It's so good. I'm going to drink it because we're going to go to a break. We've got a second game to get to, and I'm just going to chill with my friend. All right, see ya. See you for the next game.
Bye.
The next game, have a look at this.
Go though. Can find finding the angles, aren't they? Realm Wolf isn't up just yet. The Dragon is being picked up here by Direwolves. Petrifying Gaze goes out, but it's not going to be enough. He's already going to look to try and turn around. Direwolves are doing whatever they can. Volcon, Browson's alive to try and get that execution. They're going to find 2 with it. And whilst they will lose the Drake, if they can get multiple members, Gudo is going to try and disengage through, well, nowhere, because everybody is swarming on top of him. That's a triple.